What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update, and we've got a few kind of transfer rumours to get through. But first of all, let's start off with the Tottenham financial results. As they've been released today, the club have announced the financial results for the year end in 30th of June 2021. This morning, financial highlights and the chairman's statement as well. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, fairly long statement though, so I don't know if we're going to go through all of it, but in terms of ENIC profit before glory, there's not much profit going on this year, to be honest. So
not much glory either.
Not more glory. That's definitely true. I think it's the second consecutive year we've made a loss now because of the pandemic, and obviously before that we were in the Champions League and we fell out of the Champions League. So the key headlines are: revenue is down about 60 million, wages are up 20 million, the loss before tax is up to 80 million. Obviously, player purchases was 110 million, borrowings 853 million. And transfer fees owed to other clubs is now up to 170 million, and we're only owed 20 million from other clubs.
Wow.
In terms of transfer fees. So look, the numbers, obviously on the face of it, they look scarier than they are, but it's obviously due to the pandemic. The match day revenues was only 2 million for the whole year. So
we're pretty much making that a game now.
Exactly. So that goes to show already just how much it was down to the pandemic. In terms of like wages and stuff, wages is up 20 million, but we are still about 100 million away from like the top 5 in the Premier League. So we don't pay anywhere near as much in that sense compared to the people we are competing with. And obviously we have obviously the stadium, and the long-term debts, but they're not. A lot of the long-term debts Tottenham have don't even have to start being repaid until 2051.
Okay.
So we've got a long time to pay those off. So even though we've got a big debt,
how much long-term debt can we ramp up until then?
Enough. Trust me, we'll have a lot. Daniel Levy's pay has gone down 260,000 to 2 million.
And quite rightly so.
He got paid 2,698,000 for last year, I suppose. So a bit lower than before. And I think for the second year in a row, there was no dividend being paid to the board members this year. Then, because obviously all the operating profits they've said are going back in, reinvested into the club. That's what they've announced.
And obviously, because this is from the end of June 30, we've had a lot of events in the stadium since then, haven't we?
Yeah, and
so so I imagine in this time next year when we look at the results, I mean, we're going to be seeing a very contrasting report, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. For the NFL and the concerts and everything, we had none of that over the past year, and so that's all obviously gone down.
Boxing, Anthony Joshua fought there. Some massive events at the stadium.
Yeah. So I think the results are obviously bad, but I guarantee you, and when you compare these results to a lot of the other clubs that are going to come out with their financial statements, Tottenham will be in a much better position.
So what's Levy been saying in this statement? Anything to take away from it?
It's a fairly long statement. So I can't. It's hard to.
I know if you want to go onto the Spurs Express, he's broken down a few key parts of what Levy said.
Okay, we'll go through a few of the quotes that he's gone. So he says basically, going forward, our strategy is clear: to drive and generate revenue to invest in all of our football activities. The appointment of Fabio and Antonio are a clear demonstration of our intent and ambition. I know that Antonio's approach is if a player is good enough, he will play regardless of the status or age. Since opening the stadium, we spent almost 400 million on players. Player spending is no guarantee of success, and our focus should be on improving recruitment. Those are a few snippets.
I kind of agree with that. What he's saying in terms of spending is not guaranteed success, and we need to up our recruitment, because I think that's what's failed us a lot in the past few years. Because we have spent a bit of money. We have spent quite a lot of money on players. In the last, let's say, 10 years even. I know there was a period where we didn't spend at all, but when you look at all the players that we spent over 25 million, over 30 million on, none of them have been a resounding success. So you've got to look at it. Yes, we need to be spending more money, but the recruitment needs to be better first and foremost.
Yeah, and I think in terms of a lot of the complaints a lot of the fan base had over ENIC and everything, which were rightly so. I don't think anyone makes any apology for them, but I think the number one thing what over the summer was to get a director of football, and they got Fabio in. Obviously, the summer that we had wasn't the most inspiring, but we did get. Obviously, there was a strategy which we were looking to go for, and then another big complaint was having an ambitious manager at the helm that could make people believe Tottenham heading in the right direction. Nuno was never going to be that guy. But now we have Conte in, and I think at the moment, as much as it's frustrating and you know the amount of stuff they've done in the past, ENIC and Levy, we have to get behind the project that they're going for right now. I think that's just how I feel right now, because there's no point rallying against the board when they're bringing us Antonio Conte. What good's that going to do to the club or anything? You want everyone. Yes, we need to keep them holding them to account for sure. I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying right now I want to see where this project goes. I don't want to, just start acting like a spoiled child, like nothing's good enough. They've brought in Antonio Conte. I'm excited by what he can do, well. and Fabio's also a big one. I'm excited what they can do, and I'm going to see where this goes before I start calling for the board to leave again.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on. I mean, everyone knows what my feelings have been on the board over the past, let's say, 3-4 months. I mean, I've been very vocal in what I've been saying, but I think that everyone just needs to be part of the same team now, because like my brother said, we've got a good manager in place, we've got a good sporting director in place, and they work very well together. History tells us they work very well together and they bring success. That's what it exactly did for Juventus. And I think that Conte rejected us in the summer, right? And for various reasons, but one of the reasons that we were told is because of the ambition of the club didn't meet his ambitions. There's got to be a reason why he's accepted this offer now. There's got to be a reason why he's at the club now, and he said himself that Daniel Levy wanted to get him at all costs, and what all costs means is that he's going to give him or provide him what he needs to succeed in the job. And that's what we all wanted at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And if those promises don't get met, that is when we start rallying against the board again.
Exactly. And look, the fact of the matter is at the moment, ENIC are not going anywhere. And there's no point, having a... I understand, when with the whole Nuno thing, it was getting very toxic. But then, look, what happened? In the stadium, people were chanting for Levy out, and then changes happened. He made the change. He bit the bullet. He realised he's effed up and swallowed his pride, sacked Nuno and got Conte in. And I think that made a big difference. Us rallying against the board in the summer made them rethink their football strategy, and they made them bring in Fabio and things like that. They all made them take notice. So I think these things that we have done are important, and they have made changes, but now is not the time to continue to keep rallying against the board every week. Now's the time to get behind the team, get behind this project, and see where it can go.
Yeah, 100%. I echo everything you said, and I want to know your opinions on all that in the comment section below. But let's move on. There's been some comments from Pau Torres, obviously the Villarreal centre-back who we were after in the summer, and it's quite interesting quotes. He says, the pull of playing the Champions League with the team from my town was bigger. I was clear from the start it was my dream to play the competition with my lifelong club. And that's obviously talking about the links. He was talking about the links that there were with Tottenham Hotspur in the summer, and that he did say in a different part of the quote that he did have an offer from Tottenham, but obviously the pull of playing for his home club, for his boyhood club, Villarreal in the Champions League this year was just too big to turn down.
Yeah, he goes on to say that the offer was a significant one. It could have made a lot of money for Villarreal, and the board asked him if he wanted to leave. They didn't put pressure on him, but they did kind of have a conversation, and he kind of said, no, I want to stay and play for my boyhood club in the Champions League, which is fair enough. But again, it shows that we were definitely, it sounds like we're definitely in for him, and it sounds like there was definitely a possibility there. It's a shame we couldn't get over the line, but sometimes when a player is in that kind of position, there's nothing you can do really when he wants to stay and he wants to play for his boyhood club for the Champions League. Maybe in a year's time it'll be different, but right now it seems like that's the case, and he's just not attainable at the moment, despite an offer that we clearly made, which which seems acceptable to Villarreal standards, just wasn't to him.
Yeah,
and
that tells me that there is money there to spend, and we will be looking at signing big in maybe January, if not January, then the summer.
So there was rumours it was about 50 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't it? That's what they said.
If we can bring in a centre back now worth 50 million. To add to this back line, I mean, that would be amazing, absolutely amazing, So if we can do that, bring in a few others, a spine of the team, maybe a backup, well, not exactly a spine, but when I mean spine, I mean players going all the way down the pitch from striker to midfield to defender to goalkeeper. We need literally all 4 positions, don't we? So we need to be spending the money, but that's kind of gives me hope that we might be spending the money.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for. And obviously, we were in for Skriniar those few years ago as well. But obviously, we got Romero in now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the January transfer window if Conte is given the coffers. That's what we're all hoping for, and that's what the implication by him having the job is.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right, let's move on. And talking of goalkeepers, the Mail are reporting that Tottenham have stepped up their search for Hugo Lloris's replacement, with Sam Johnson and Dean Henderson being targeted. I mean, when you were away, I brought a report saying that we were looking at Jordan Pickford, and that apparently Conte really wants an English goalkeeper for the homegrown quota and stuff like that. For me, any of these keepers will be a massive downgrade on Hugo. That's just the reality, isn't it?
I just think maybe with Hugo, it's like we don't realise how good of a keeper he is until he's going to.
That's what I say consistently.
Yeah, that's the thing. And this guy's been performing at a near world-class standard for many years, for 10 years, even for England and for France. And it's not going to be easy to replace him. You look at the keepers around, you think which of these keepers right now are better than Hugo Lloris, and there's very, very few. There's not many. He's that highly regarded for me. So it's not going to be easy to replace him whatsoever. We're going to have to be prepared to downgrade, I think,
especially
unfortunately.
if he wants an English one.
Yeah, there's definitely no English keeper better than Lloris right now, that's for sure. The only one you can think of that could be is maybe Henderson, but right now he's not even playing for United. So,
would you take Henderson?
I like Henderson. I think he's good. I probably would take Henderson. I think he could be a potential number one, but it's tough to say when, De Gea's keeping him out of the team and he's not getting a look in. And so if he's not getting the game time, it's tough to then rely on him as your number one keeper when you need assurances that, obviously for Sheffield United it was great, but he never nailed it down at Man United. So whether he could nail it down at Tottenham would be another case. I think he could, because I just believe in the quality of the keeper, but it's difficult.
He had a really impressive season that year at Sheffield United.
He did. It was brilliant. He was brilliant.
But it remained. He's hardly kicked the ball or caught a ball for the last 2 seasons, hasn't he?
Yeah, especially this season. Last season he was rotating a bit more, but this season it's been De Gea all the way.
Yeah, but now the manager's gone. Maybe the next manager will look a little bit differently.
Yeah, maybe. And in terms of Pickford, I think he's a fine keeper. I just don't think he's Lloris. I just don't. I think he's pretty good with his feet, but I don't know. I think Pickford's good, but I just don't think he's top class. I don't see
Pickford or Henderson for you. Who would you rather sign?
I think Henderson's a better keeper personally. I just think Pickford is Southgate's reliable one. He trusts him.
And I even think Ramsdale's going to overtake Pickford soon if he carries on this form.
Yeah, when you think Pickford in the Champions League, you just don't think like that's his stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think of him as like a Europa League keeper or something.
Yeah, or no Europe at all.
And I know he's done well in all the Euros and the World Cup. He did great, and I'm not saying he is, but
different keeper for Everton than he is for England.
He is, yeah. I just don't consistently for Spurs. Whether I'd rely on him to be that keeper number one for many years to come. I don't know.
No, not for me. But look, I say it consistently, like the replacement for Hugo Lloris is going to be so difficult because I don't think there is any keeper that we can bring in that's going to come in straight away and be better than Hugo.
No, I think the only way is to get someone probably a bit younger who has potential to grow, because I don't think there's any ready-made keeper right now who's better than Hugo, who we can bring in.
You know, Donnarumma's not having a good time in PSG.
Is he not?
Maybe Paratici can sway him.
Oh, yeah, right. That'll be nice.
But anyway, let's move on. We've got a few reports from Calcio Mercato. First one is Tottenham are monitoring the situation with Nicolo Zaniolo at Roma before a potential move. Jose Mourinho is demanding better performances from the player after pampering him in recent months. Is this one you would like to get over the line?
I mean, I think he's quality, Zaniolo. I know he's had his injury problems. He was at the top of his game a few years ago, and then he did his ACL. And I actually remember watching the game he did his ACL. It was against Juventus. He was on this mad run. He beat like 4 or 5 players from his own half. He gets into the box and he gets scythed down. And in that move, he did his ACL. I felt really bad for him.
Hasn't he done it twice?
I think he's done it twice now since then, or once more since then. I think at his best when he's free flowing and he's in full flight, he is an unreal talent, Zaniolo.
Where's his natural position?
He's more of like a cam kind of like a Bernardo Silva kind of, wing, can play on the wing, can play in the centre kind of thing. But it's just whether he's got over his injury problems. That's the only thing with Zaniolo. So you're kind of spending a lot of money on a player who's extremely talented, but there's always going to be that question mark, isn't there? Whether he's ever going to get back to his best. And at his best, he's still young. I don't know how old he is now. What, 22? Probably he's about 21, 22. He's probably not old. But he's
22, yeah.
22. So because he had injuries at such a young age, he had injuries when he was showing promise. So all of a sudden, so even then, it's not like he was a consistently unbelievable player. He was just a very, very talented player, like who could play very well, but was never at that consistent level. You're saying he's world class or anything. So but to get him, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on the promise that the talent he had before his injuries could blossom into a world-class player. And that's quite a big risk.
Yeah, and this report on him is quite interesting. It's from Corriere dello Sport. They're claiming that Zaniolo has had a heated argument with Mourinho at Roma's training ground last Monday, and it's thought that Zaniolo is concerned by his role as a left-sided winger under Mourinho and doesn't feel like that is his best position. But Mourinho has switched the system of late to play a 3-4-1-2. That was the kind of report from last week, which is interesting. Maybe just Jose and just not getting on. It seems like
what else is new?
Another one of those.
Yeah, what else is new?
Yeah, water is wet. All right, let's move on. Tottenham Hotspur are leading the competition to sign Inter Milan centre-back Stefan de Vrij. I mean, I've brought you a lot of updates on de Vrij over the past week or so, and he's one that both of us really like and both of us would like to see. But in terms of the Inter Milan centre-backs, I actually might like to see Bastoni more than two of them.
Yeah, he's younger, left-footed as well. Yeah. Plays for Italy. He's also Inter Milan are stocked full of great centre-backs, aren't they? Skriniar, de Vrij, Bastoni. No wonder Conte won the league with those 3 centre-backs. But I think he'd probably be the most expensive, I would assume. De Vrij's 29, Skriniar's 28 now, probably, and then Bastoni's like 22. So he would be probably the most expensive as being the youngest one. But De Vrij, I'd be obviously massively in favour of. I think he's quality. I think Dutch international. I think Conte, who's a big fan of him, obviously. And I think maybe he could be available at a decent price because he's getting nearly price? 30. I'll probably say 30 million.
Really? That is a decent price.
At 29 years of age, maybe he could be more available at that kind of price.
Well, if we can, I mean...
If they still need the money. I think Bastoni are looking probably, 55, 60.
50. Yeah, but for 50, 55 on a 22-year-old... Italian international, absolute, it's a massive talent. For 55 million, we were going to spend 50 million on Pau Torres, and we spent 45 million on Davinson Sanchez. So I think that's
maybe
a great deal.
Maybe more than Bastoni.
Yeah, maybe it is more. But I think if it is around that 55 million, I think it's a great price for him.
Yeah, I think it is a great price for whether we're going to pay that. I mean, I hope we would, but whether he would see someone like De Vrij as more cost efficient.
Yeah, but the thing, do you not think that Levy will look at it more as that Bastoni will have more of a sell-on value?
True, he does look at that as well. So potentially, I mean, whether they're prepared to they might not be prepared to let him go.
That's
you know
another thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been no links on it at all.
No, they
is there?
might be not prepared to let Bastoni go, as opposed to Vrij, where maybe they're thinking he's 29, he's therefore going to make him available.
Yeah. All right. The last one from Calcio Mercato is on Dusan Vlahovic once again. And they say Tottenham are beating both Arsenal and Man City in the competition to Dusan Vlahovic. Juventus are now their main competition, but Fiorentina previously preferred to sell the striker abroad, which is music to our ears.
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure they would rather sell him to a foreign team, and I would obviously love him through the door at Tottenham. He's having a great season, and just last week against AC Milan, I think was it 2 goals and assists or something like
mate,
that. He had an absolute
did you see
worldie.
any of that game?
Yeah, I saw.
Mate, he was class.
Dynamite.
He was class.
And what's his name? I saw quotes over the international break from Milenkovic-Savic talking about, because I think they played for Serbia.
I saw those quotes. Yeah,
and he was just saying how he said Vlahovic isn't a player for tomorrow. He's not a player for a year's time. He's a player for right now. He is world class. This boy, at any club, he's going to be lucky to have him, because this boy is the real deal.
Yeah.
And that goes to show how highly rated he is among his teammates. And he's still only 21 years of age, so I think it's kind of getting Wiley's hot kind of thing.
But I made the point last time I spoke about Vlahovic in a Tottenham update, saying that do you really see us spending 60, 70 million on Vlahovic in January for someone that's not, guaranteed to start every single game?
I don't see us spending that much. No, it has to be a good deal. He would have 18 months left on his contract. Is it? Or is it or 6 months left?
No, 18.
18. So,
because they need to sell him in January or the summer.
Yeah,
in the summer he'll have 1 year left.
So I think in the summer you're probably looking at 50 million. Yeah, 40. No, yeah, I reckon you could probably looking at 45. So I reckon in January you're.
But that's the thing. You don't really want a bidding war, do you? And, they're going to have their price, and we're not the only team that are going to be in for him, are we?
No. Yeah, you're probably looking at 60 million in January.
That's what I'm saying. So do you really see us spending that much money on a backup striker?
No, I don't.
Essentially a backup striker?
No.
Neither do I. I mean, I wish we would, but...
Yeah, it's hard to believe we would.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also interesting. Damasio following on from that, saying that Fiorentina have made offers for both Domenico Berardi and Jonathan Ikone. So are they already spending the Vlahovic money?
Maybe they're already getting it in. I mean, it'd be interesting if because those are 2 signings who are serious signings. One from Lille and Berardi from Sassuolo, who starts for Italy in the Euros. He's
had a good Euros, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a good striker. He can play on the right and he can play up front. And Ikone as well, also a bit of a wing forward, can play on the wing or up front as well. But they both can definitely play centrally. So if they're spending big money on those 2, that could definitely be a sign.
And also, I don't know if you were with me when we were doing the report, but one of the reports from Damasio, I think it was last week, saying that Fiorentina have this suspicion that Vlahovic has already found his club, and the personal terms have already been agreed apparently.
Well, I know he stopped taking Arsenal's calls, so it can't be them. That'd be nice.
Well, anyway, let's move on. The last bit of news for you from the Manchester Evening News, saying that Manchester United are now confident of appointing Mauricio Pochettino. The former Tottenham Hotspur manager wants to join Man United straight away. I mean, this follows on. I mean, Simon Stone was bringing us reports about Pochettino very much open to the Man United job last night. I mean, it seems as though this one is a goer, doesn't it?
Looks like it, yeah. There are rumours, the Telegraph also just reporting that Zidane could be lined up now for PSG. He looks like he's interested in the job, so the wheels seem to be turning when it comes to this deal. Obviously, it's going to be hurt to see Poch in a Premier League dugout. It was all right seeing him in PSG and in the French league, and out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But now we might have to be faced with it in the Premier League, and it'll be a good move for him. I think he'll suit the Man United job for me more than the PSG job, even though some would argue he's just swapping Messi for Ronaldo. But I feel like United squad is a bit younger, a bit fresher, and it might allow him to play his way of playing more than PSG would have allowed. Because I feel like a front three of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, are you going to get them to work as hard as maybe you could with what United could offer, like
see what he does with Ronaldo.
will be interesting. It will be interesting.
And
And
be the first manager to have Messi and Ronaldo and not win a thing.
well, he won a trophy with PSG.
Yeah, he won. Yeah,
he
he
won
did.
a trophy. But look,
Not with Messi though.
it's going to be hard if this does pan out. It's a great appointment for me for Man United. I think this puts them right back in contention for top four with this
Do
appointment.
you think straight away Poch is going to get to
Yeah.
grips with this squad?
I don't know that straight away, but he will. I'm sure he will this season. I think he'll get them playing again for sure. There's too much quality in there for him not to. And we all knew that Poch wasn't happy at PSG, and we all knew there was a kind of it was a relationship built on shaky grounds, basically. And yes, they just about got him to agree to stay in the summer. They staved us off, but things, for one reason or another, even though the results, look, if you look at the results on paper, they're really not bad. There's nothing
Beaten in the Champions League and second in their group.
There's really,
11 points clear
then
at the top
there's
of the
nothing to suggest that he's doing a terrible job, but for some reason the fans don't like him. They don't like the way he plays. I read all the time on journalists saying about how his team lack identity and how he's doing a bad job or whatever, and he just doesn't seem respected over there. I don't know why. Look, maybe that obviously they're watching him every week and we're not, and maybe they're seeing something that we're not seeing, that the results aren't reflecting. But the results have been fine. They really have. So I feel bad that he's kind of being hounded out a bit in a way, for one reason or another. But their loss will be Man United's gain. I'm sure of it. I think he'll do a great job there.
Definitely, it's going to hurt me to see him on the opposite dugout. That's for sure.
If now that should we have clung on to Nuno for a couple more weeks and got Pochettino?
Nah, I'm happy with Conte. I mean, if you would offer me now the swap between Conte and Pochettino, I wouldn't take it. I
think it's time to just see what Conte can do. That's
Conte's the man for the job. I'm pretty sure of it. And the last thing on Poch I want to say is that the rumours are that Man U are going to pay 10 million euros to buy him out of his contract. If they wait to the summer, that's going to halve to 5 million. So, I mean, that kind of tells you why Spurs didn't get him in the summer.
Why 10 million?
We didn't want to spend the compensation.
It's not that much. Is that much? We've paid enough. How much we paid? We paid Nuno 14 million, didn't we?
Yeah, to sack him. Well, I don't know if that's true, though, because there was no proper reports about that. It was people on Twitter saying it.
What?
About that 14 million.
Well, it makes sense. 2-year deal, 7 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, we must have paid him off. All that. I mean, we can't.
I've seen conflicting reports. I saw some said 10 million, some said 7 million, some said 14 million.
Still, even if it's 10 million, we paid 10 million to pay off Nuno. We could have paid 10 million in the summer to get Poch.
Yeah, but that's definitely true. But
also could have got paid a few more to get Conte in the summer as well.
Exactly.
But anyway, no need to rest on our laurels.
I think that shows why we didn't want to spend money in the summer.
We know that. We know that the summer clearly our priorities were different than they are now. We know that. It's obvious. It's obvious for everyone to see. Levy panicked. He's forced himself. He's been forced to change his priorities, and now hopefully that this little run of the start of the season can make him refocus, and that's what we're hoping for.
All right. Well, that is your Tottenham update today. Let me know in the comments section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories we've brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.